Welcome to Module 2. This is where we get into how markets work, and the most basic components of a market is the supply of goods and services and the interaction with the demand of goods and services. So here we are. We've got scarcity all around us and trade-offs and opportunity cost. Here is a funny cartoon illustrating scarcity and trade-offs and opportunity costs. Uh, Takes you 5 seconds to look at that. Here's the Paul Solomon video on opportunity cost. It is really good. He evaluates what it's costing him to go to the football game. And 5-6 minutes long. Opportunity cost wrap, 1 minute entertaining, and the supply curve and the demand curve, both about 5 minutes or so. And Paul Solomon does a great job here using a cattle auction. Markets in action right there. You got those bringing their cattle to sell, and those are coming to buy. And you've got the auctioneer selling them, and you're coming up with that interaction of supply and demand and a market price. And scarcity in action, rationing seats at the Cuesta School of Nursing. Really interesting. And actually, we're going to be discussing this one in the next module. The Connect assignments, you know how to do those now. The reading, the homework, the exam, and of course, Economics USA's on markets. Summarize the 3 cases, submit them there. Now let's go back to the discussion. No discussion in this module, but there will be one in the next module. Now, here's the thing about discussions. Discussions, I think I said somewhere along the line they're worth 10%. I think they're worth 15%. Go to the syllabus and see how much they're worth. I think it's 15% in this class. Discussions are a double-edged sword. You got to have a little bit of discussion going, but if you have too much, you're overdoing it. Now, I realize with an online class, there's a lot of opportunity for discussion, but just because the technology's there doesn't mean you need to get carried away with it. Doesn't mean it's prudent to go, crazy on it. I have some biases on discussions. I'll tell you, I 2 things I hated the most when I was in college were one was group work, and the other class discussions. And so it's really hard for me to be too enthusiastic about either one. Uh, I remember in one class I had, the professor would write down every time one of us said something. And he counted. He actually kept track. And when we saw him writing stuff down, oh boy, did the hands go up. Everybody was desperate to say something. And oh boy, did the BS fly. There were a lot of activity, not much insight. I mean, everyone was talking just to talk because we had to. So I just think that kind of thing just isn't worth much. Also, I had an experience when I first came on board here. Before I came here, this was several years back. The vice president of the college was teaching online economics classes, and when I came, the arrangement was that he could teach them, unless a full-time faculty member wanted him. And of course, I came on board and I wanted him, so I took over. And it was apparent because the students, I had his students in my classes, just about all they did was discuss. I mean, he had his vice president's job, and he just kind of let the classes go, discuss. Now, they had a good time. They were all experts on each other's opinion, but they didn't know very much economics. So there's a trade-off there. If all we do is gab, we're not going to learn as much. And but if we don't do any, it won't be as interesting or as much fun. So anyway, I try to find that sweet spot. We'll have a discussion about every other module. Pretty much it's participation. More or less, if you participate, you get full credit. Group work, as far as group work goes, I know some of you love it. To me, well, there's an old quote, or old saying that a camel is a horse designed by a committee. And that kind of summarizes. I realize committees are necessary sometimes, don't get me wrong, but anyway. And one more thought on discussions. I know that there's two schools of thought, and I've done it both ways. One way is for the professor to be actively engaged, responding to everybody, hovering over everything, managing everything. I have found that, and I know some students like that, I've found that most students are a bit intimidated by that. And so I go, the other approach is to let it be your space. The discussion is pretty much now you're expected to be civil. You know what? I've never had a situation where students were not civil to each other. I know some professors have. That has never happened. But other than that, it's your space. Now, if there's a theme or something going on in there, I'll sometimes post in the course announcements my thoughts about something or other. But so discussions, we have a few of them. I think it makes the class more fun and more social, but we're not going to get carried away with them. And it'll be pretty much your space. And anyway, next module, we got a discussion, and pretty much every other module. All right. See you in Module 3.